Hello and welcome to the Dairy Digest. I'm Dr. Jackie Borman. Today on the Purdue Dairy Digest, we will discuss DMI's goal for the dairy industry to become carbon neutral by 2050, as well as research in a promising seed additive that may reduce methane emissions in cattle. Dairy Management Incorporated recently announced the goal that the dairy industry would become carbon neutral by 2050. This net zero initiative is an effort for the dairy industry to be involved in reducing the negative effects of climate change, which a majority of the population in the United States views as a global threat. A goal for the net zero initiative is to help farms of all sizes adopt sustainable practices and to make the dairy industry into the sustainable choice for consumers. So how do we do this? Just as a recap, when we talk about carbon neutral, we mean that the amount of carbon emitted, like carbon that's emitted in the form of methane from ruminants, and the amount of carbon that is sequestered or absorbed from the atmosphere, like the carbon dioxide that is sequestered in plants, are balanced. Currently, we are emitting far more than we are sequestering, and achieving carbon neutrality is an ambitious goal. However, there are nutritional approaches that are being researched to determine if methane emissions can be reduced by supplementing additives. One supplement, a red seaweed, or to be technical, Aspergopsis taxiformis and Aspergopsis armata, have been evaluated to determine if they will reduce methane emissions in a laboratory setting as well as in cow research trials. Supplementing about 2% of the diet with Aspergopsis significantly reduced methane emissions in some studies, almost completely eliminating methane production. It's important to note that these were in laboratory settings. In animal trials, when Aspergopsis was fed at 0.5 or 1% of diet dry matter, they have seen a significant reduction in methane emissions. However, cows fed Aspergopsis also had reduced dry matter intake and reduced milk yield. Of all the potential feed additives that we currently have evaluated, red seaweed appears to have the most potential to reduce methane emissions. However, palatability and impacts on intake need to be addressed. I don't currently believe that seaweed is the dairy industry's magic bullet to become carbon neutral, but believe that feed additives like Aspergopsis need to be evaluated to determine the potential we have to reduce methane emissions through nutritional strategies. One concern is that the rumen microbiome is evolving, and there is a potential concern that in long-term studies the rumen may adapt and new methogenic species will increase. Longer-term studies are needed. Other areas of focus will be on how do we sequester more carbon within the dairy industry. The dairy industry achieving carbon neutrality is an ambitious goal that we have to start working on yesterday if we have any hopes of accomplishing. If you are a subscriber to the podcast, can you do us a favor and rate us in iTunes? If you're not a subscriber, become one today, and you can listen to this podcast at your own time. Thank you.